Hi Stampers! Welcome to a new week of card making. This week I'm featuring the Country Birdhouse stamp set and the coordinating dies, and these tools are perfect for crafting beautiful birthday cards or just a hello friend card. Whether you prefer simple stamping, watercolor techniques, or using the intricate dies, you're going to see it all in tonight's video. We're going to make 3 cards. Again, my videos would be nice and short, nothing different about that. We're going to have 3 instead of 1. So let's get on to our first card. So this card is going to be a simple card, and we're going to have a card base of Misty Moonlight. We're going to have an inside piece and a front piece of Very Vanilla, and this is a piece of the Country Woods Designer Series paper. So this card is really going to show this paper off. And then I have another piece of that Country Woods paper. This is just a small piece that I cut out, and I have a strip of Very Vanilla. And these are the dies we're going to use. We're going to use the big Birdhouse die. We're going to use this little rectangle type die, and we're going to use the bird die. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'll bring this scrap in, and we're going to go ahead and stamp our birdhouse on it. And I'm going to stamp it in Night of Navy. So this is a big stamp, so I'm going to take my stamp pad to the block. Okay, there's our birdhouse. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out with the big die. Cut that birdhouse out. And since I'm cutting, I'm going to take our piece of Very Vanilla and use this rectangle die and cut that out too. And I'll be right back. Okay, so there's our little rectangle. And here is our birdhouse. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp a little birdie. I'm going to stamp that in Night of Navy. And then I'm going to bring the die in and cut our bird out. And I'll be right back. Okay, so now what we're going to do with this card is we're going to color it in with our Stampin Blends. So I have Dark Misty Moonlight, Light Misty Moonlight, Light Night of Navy, and Dark Balmy Blue. So I'm going to go ahead and color this birdhouse in. First I'll start with the Balmy Blue, and I'm going to color these little scallops in. Then I'm going to take our Dark Misty Moonlight, and I'm just going to color in the next layer. And then I'll bring in the Light Moonlight, Light Misty Moonlight, and color in the top part and the bottom part. I'll use the Night of Navy, and I'll color in the bird hole. And then I'll color our bird in with the Balmy Blue. I'll color his beak and his feet in with the Light Misty Moonlight. Okay, so far so good, right? So on this piece, we're going to stamp Happy Birthday. I'm going to stamp that in Night of Navy. Okay, so let's put our card together. So the Misty Moonlight, we have to score that in half. I don't have that done yet. So it's 8.5 by 5.5, and I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. We're going to take the Designer Series paper, and we're going to glue it to the Very Vanilla piece, and then we're going to glue that to the front of our card. Okay, then this piece, the birdhouse, I'm going to pop up on dimensionals. I'm going to place it right down here at the bottom. Then I'm going to bring the bird in and pop him up on dimensionals, just one. Then our Happy Birthday is going to go right up there. And I'm going to pop that up on dimensionals also. Then I'll bring our inside piece in and Night of Navy. And this stamp set has a really nice sentiment that says, hoping you have the best day ever. And watch how cool it looks when I stamp it. Isn't that neat? I like it. It's half cursive font and then it's got a little printing there. Then I have a piece of designer series paper left over, so I think I'm going to add that for a little bit more interest to the inside of our card. And we'll put this on the inside. Okay, card 1 is done. So this was our simple technique. I think that's perfect for a guy or a girl, right? Okay, on to our next card. Okay, this card we're going to do some coloring with our watercolored pencils. So I have Flirty Flamingo, Early Espresso, and Pumpkin Pie. And then I have our water blender brush. I have a little bit of linen thread. And this one has a card base that's just a little bit different. It's 7 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I scored it at 3. But don't worry about all of the measurements or the supplies because I do have 3 project sheets that you can find on my blog. So after the video, just hop on over there and you'll have all of the sizes, the dimensions, the supplies I use, shopping links, and you'll have great big pictures of today's cards so you can see them nice and close. Okay, so let's just review our supplies really quick. So I have my card base in Berry Vanilla. I have peach pie pieces, and I have a piece of Pretty Designer Series paper. And then our inside pieces, we have peach pie and Berry Vanilla. And then I have a scrap of watercolor paper. And I'm actually going to stamp our birdhouse in crumb cake. So I'm bringing my little Stampin' Scrubby sponge and clean off that Night of Navy ink that we used on our first card. And we're going to stamp on the watercolor paper, and I'm going to use crumb cake. Then I'm going to bring in Petunia Pop and stamp a bird. Okay, so we're going to use our watercolor pencils and color in this birdhouse. And I'm going to color the big part of it in with pumpkin pie. And again, this is watercolor paper. Okay, I'm going to color part of the top of the birdhouse in with Early Espresso. And I'm going to color the 2 circles in with Early Espresso. I'm also going to color over here in Early Espresso just to give it a little bit of shadowing to make it look more like a distressed type birdhouse. Birdhouses aren't really pretty and nice and neat. There's always a little bit of wear and tear on them. So I'm just going to put some shadowing over here on this side. A little bit down here. Okay, and then I'm going to color these little scallops in with the Flirty Flamingo. Okay, so for the bird, I want to color my bird in Petunia Pop. So I'm going to bring in my Wink Stella brush and a little ink block and pick up some ink. I'm going to color the bird in with my Wink Stella brush. And I'll color his feet in with pumpkin pie. Okay, now we have to do the final touch. So right now it doesn't look that great, but when we blend it in with our little watercolor pen, it's going to really change. So watch the magic happen when I color this in. So I'm going to clean the brush off and I'm going to do the next layer. Just touching the Early Espresso. Now I'm going to do the scallops. I'm going to do the rest of the birdhouse. Now I'm not worried about the Early Espresso and the pumpkin pie color blending here because that's kind of what the look that I want. Okay, so I'm bringing in a paper towel and just blotting it, drying it off a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to bring our dies in, and we're going to cut the birdhouse and the bird out, and I will be right back. Okay, on this small, very vanilla piece that we're going to put on the front of our card, we're going to stamp in crumb cake, and I'm going to use this stamp right here, and we're going to stamp all over it on this little piece here. And then I'm going to bring my stamping block back in and pick up some of that ink, and I'm going to bring in my watercolor pen and just pick up some ink and go ahead and add some lines here and there. It's kind of making this piece look distressed. Okay, now I'm going to run this piece through the exposed brick embossing folder. I'll be right back. So we gave it some nice texture. Okay, now we're going to put our card together. So I just want to say something about watercoloring. Don't give up. When you're coloring and it doesn't look right, just keep on going. Once you put that water on there, it'll look really cool and fun. So just keep on going and you'll love the final outcome. Okay, this piece I'm going to pop up on dimensionals. Before I stick it down, I'm going to tie a bow on with the linen thread. I'm going to go ahead and get the thread underneath it and take the sticky off and attach it to my card, my very vanilla piece, and then I'll finish tying the bow. So I cut this very vanilla piece to just fit the birdhouse because I wanted to make sure that as much of this pretty paper showed as possible. So let me tie a bow here real quick. Then we'll pop our bird up. And let's bring this in. Okay, so these two pieces are going to be glued together. And this is going to be glued to our peach pie piece. And then we can glue this to the front of our card. Okay, we have one more thing to stamp for the front. We're not done yet. I'm going to bring in Early Espresso and the Happy Birthday Sentiment. And then I'm going to bring this piece in, and I'm going to cut that out, and then we're going to cut it down just a little bit smaller after I'm done. So I'll be right back. Just like that. And then this piece, when you cut it out, has a little raised line that you can see. And I'm just going to follow that line and cut this Happy Birthday Sentiment a little bit smaller. And I'm going to put that right there. I'm just going to glue that down. Okay, before we put this on the front of the card, let's go ahead and stamp the inside. So I'll bring back in the Early Espresso ink. Okay, let's glue all this to the inside of our card. Okay, so for the front of the card, we're going to put some dimensionals on the back of this whole piece, and we're going to put it just over here on the left-hand side. So I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to center it where it's going to be when it's all done, and that'll make it easy for me to see where I need to put my dimensionals. Okay, there's card 2. Kind of a fun and different kind of a card, right? I just love the way that looks. That sentiment looks so cool. Kind of fun, right? Okay, let's get on to card 3 real quick. Okay, so here are the supplies. We're going to have a base of Pool Party. Let me go ahead and score that. So it's 8.5 by 5.5, and I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. Then we have a Pool Party mat and a piece of Very Vanilla. And I have another piece of Very Vanilla. And then I have a pretty piece of that Designer Series paper. And I have Early Espresso and crumb cake and pool party and very vanilla scraps. So let me show you all the ways we're going to cut this. So out of this piece of designer series paper, that's the other side, I'm going to cut out the big birdhouse. Out of this piece, I am going to cut out this little rectangular piece. And now I'm going to bring this piece in. I'm going to cut out that. So we're going to build our birdhouse. So let me show you all the pieces. Early espresso, we're going to use the little thin die, and we're going to cut a piece of that out. And then the scallop piece, we are going to cut out of pool party. And then I'm going to bring in early espresso. Before I cut all this out, I'm going to stamp 2 birds, and then I'm going to cut them out. Let's look at this one more time. So I have my big birdhouse cut out of the designer series paper. I have early espresso with the rectangle and the larger little angled die. And then early espresso, I have the little skinny piece I'm going to cut out. And then I have a scallop piece out of pool party. And I'm also going to take a piece of very vanilla, and I'm going to cut out the rectangle. So let me cut all that out. I will fast forward, so I will be right back. Okay, so I have all of our pieces cut out. That was nice and fast, wasn't it? So if you're enjoying my quick and short videos, go ahead and leave me a comment. I'd like to hear your feedback, and hopefully you are enjoying them. I'm going to do one more thing off the camera really quick, which is I'm going to take our very vanilla piece and I'm going to run it through the exposed brick embossing folder. Okay, so now that has some nice texture to it. Okay, let's go ahead and build our birdhouse. Okay, so I'm going to start with the top piece first, and I'm going to go ahead and glue that on. And then I'm going to glue the skinny brown piece on, and then I'm going to glue our scallop on. And I will bring in my silicone mat in case I have extra glue that I need to blot off. And when you do attach the scallop piece, there's a right and a wrong side, because the side that you want showing has these cute little circle bumps on it. It's really cute. It's really quite easy. It looks so pretty too in person. I love building these birdhouses. Okay, before we glue this piece on, I am going to bring in early espresso, and there's a little wood grain stamp, and I'm just going to stamp on here, stamp on here. Just like that. In fact, let me bring in a scrap. I'm going to go ahead and stamp a little bit on the top of my birdhouse also, just to get a little bit of interest and texture. Okay, on this piece here, it's going to fit right down here. I'm going to stamp Happy Birthday on here, and I'm going to cut it down just like I did on the other card, and I'm going to stamp that in early espresso. Okay, so I just followed the lines that were like raised, and it was really easy to cut out. Okay, we have one more thing to do with our bird house before we put it all together. So I think I am going to go ahead and glue our pieces to the front of the card. So I'm going to glue these 2 pieces together so we have a little border. And then I'm going to glue this one to our next layer of very vanilla, and then I'm going to glue that all to the front of the card. Okay, so far so good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glue Happy Birthday to this piece, and then I'm going to glue that to the bottom of our birdhouse. Okay, I'm going to bring this die in that's in the little die set, and I'm going to go ahead and cut a circle out. So I'm just going to kind of set my bird here so I can kind of guess where I want the hole to be, and I will cut that out and I will be right back. Okay, so we have that hole cut out. So that's going to go like that. Our bird's going to go here, and this guy's going to go in here like this. He's going to be sticking his head out just like that. So I'm going to pop our birdhouse up on dimensionals. I'm going to kind of put a little bit of glue on the back of this bird to hold him down for a bit. And then I'll put some dimensionals on the back. Okay, so this is going to go right in the center. And then this little bird is going to go over here. And I'm just going to glue him down. I think I'll bring in a little tiny piece of dimensional and put it on his tail. Okay, so for the inside, let's go ahead and stamp our greeting. Cute, right? So let's look at them all. So here, this was a simple one where we just used the designer series paper and cut out the birdhouse out of designer series paper and colored it in with Stampin Blends. And then we had some fun coloring with the watercolor pencils and that pretty designer series paper. And this one, I think this one's my favorite with the dies. I really like building this birdhouse, and it's so easy. Once you cut the pieces out, easy, easy, easy. So I hope you enjoyed creating these cards with me, and if you felt inspired and want to add this stamp set and die set, you can get it as a bundle. And remember, I have my project sheets on my blog, so I'll have all of the sizes and the supplies and shopping links there. If you're new to Stampin' Up! And don't have a Stampin' Up! Coach, I'm here for you. I'd love to chat and assist you with all your stamping needs. And remember, all the way up through the end of May, if you join for $99, you get to choose $125 worth of stamping products, plus you get all the in-color products. So you'll get 5 stamping pads, 5 right markers, a pack of all the paper, the cardstock, and what else? Oh, and the designer series paper. So that's a $82 value. So if you'd like to hear more about that, go ahead and contact me. I'd love to chat with you. And let me know what you think about Wednesday night videos. 3 cards, all still short and quick, but inspiring. If you love my cards and videos, don't keep it a secret. Go ahead and share my link and names with your friends. Your support helps my channel grow, and I really appreciate it. And thank you for spending your Wednesday night with me, and I will see you next time. Don't be shy. Stamp and shout.